Before this video starts, I should probably come out and say that this video was originally meant to be a duology of Mass Effect videos. One of them was a ranking video for the Mass Effect trilogy in general, basically how I feel about all three of these games and where I would rank them from best to least favorite. And the other is this, a character tier list, how I feel about the Mass Effect characters in general. As you can see, one of them did not make the cut. And the reason for this is because, well, I won't lie to you, I tried making a script. I did attempt to record it, but then I realized that everything that I have done was not recorded at all. I had an old mouse, and unfortunately, the one that I had managed to double click in the worst possible time. So everything that I have recorded was not recorded. That was kind of demoralizing. I won't lie to you. To put it simply, I gave up on the ranking video idea, on the Mass Effect Trilogy ranking video idea, and I just decided to just stick with the character tier list. And for those who are curious about how I felt about the Mass Effect Trilogy, my results will be on screen now. Mass Effect 2 is at the bottom, Mass Effect 1 is in the middle, and Mass Effect 3 is the best one. Now you might be wondering, why would I order it like this? To that I say, I don't care, suck my nuts. Just to keep it brief, Mass Effect 2 is essentially Mass Effect 1 but better, but I believe I've had a better time exploring the galaxy and seeing what it has to offer, what sorts of ideas it establishes in Mass Effect 1 and 3 compared to 2. I very much enjoy that aspect of Mass Effect in Mass Effect 1 and 3 than I did with 2. 2 is just a continuation in more ways than 1. In Mass Effect 1, even though I did have problems with the controls, I did enjoy the story. I did enjoy the exploration. And I especially love how it establishes the various lore, whether it's the Prothean War, the Genophage, or the Geth War. Like, I love those stories. And I love how it establishes them in the first game, especially when you consider that BioWare really did not have much to work with at that time. Mass Effect 2, they definitely do. They were working off of something. I mean, I'd rather the BioWare do that instead of getting rid of the continuity that it first established to begin with, Halo. But to me, Mass Effect 2 is basically more of a good thing, and there's nothing to complain about. The way that I made this list, it's less about what's the best and what's the worst, and more like how much I enjoyed each game. They're all very good games. They are very good games. In fact, I'd probably say that the Mass Effect trilogy is slowly starting to become my favorite series of all time. Like, it's that good. This list is essentially just a way of me expressing how I feel about these games in terms of enjoyment when I streamed them some time ago. Mass Effect 3 just so happens to be like the best one I've played in my experience, faults and all. And keep in mind, I'm playing this in the perspective of someone who has never played a Mass Effect game before. Yeah, you have to keep in mind, I played this game. I played these three games way after the controversy, way after the hype, way after everything that was going on during the 7th generation of consoles. And you know what? I enjoyed my time with Mass Effect, and it does make me want to play the Mass Effect trilogy again. Now, of course, not nowadays, not nowadays, only because you know, life and all that. But I am tempted. I am tempted to play through the Mass Effect trilogy. But that's gonna be for another time. For now, sorry for this long-winded intro. Like, I have a tendency to do that sometimes. But with that said, I hope you understand. I'm terribly sorry that I wasn't able to get a Mass Effect trilogy ranking video out in the form that many were expecting, but I hope that this tier list makes up for everything. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The Mass Effect trilogy is great. It's honestly like the most fun I've had for a game series. I played through the trilogy on my stream, not necessarily on YouTube, but also on Twitch as well before I made the shift. And I will say, Mass Effect has become a favorite series of mine. And I look forward to playing through not just Mass Effect Andromeda, but whenever Mass Effect 4 does release when that comes out. The star of the series the stars, I should probably say, isn't necessarily the gameplay or the story, but the characters. To me, the characters are very integral to how the Mass Effect series works. Without them, the Mass Effect trilogy would feel a little lifeless, would feel empty. But I'm glad that these characters do exist in some way. Whether from the best to the worst, this is more or less how I feel about the characters themselves. Now, this is mostly just pertaining to the trilogy. I'm not even so sure if I've even seen this guy right here. Is that supposed to be Caden? He looks so different compared to the other games, bro. Let's just get this started. And who best to talk about first than Ashley? You know, there's a very good reason why I decided to kill her off during the bombing run. So, yeah, I don't necessarily like her. Even when I did attempt to make her live in my first playthrough, I did not like her at all. I didn't. And when I say first playthrough, I do mean by my first run through of the game before the stream. I didn't like her then. I didn't like her in Mass Effect 2. I certainly don't like her now. I feel no sympathy for Ashley at all. Like, I really do not. Like, I just don't care, bro. I just do not care about Ashley at all. Like, she's just bad. I mean, design-wise, she looks meh, and then her personality is just... I don't like her personality. I really do not. So, yeah, I'm gonna put her on D tier. Same. Okay, when I first saw him in Mass Effect 2, he looks so badass. He looks like the freshest dude to ever exist in this side of the galaxy. And I do think that his story is interesting. His relationship with his son and how he became he became a bounty hunter type. I do think that he's a very intriguing character. I don't know if I want to put him in A tier or something like that. But I think that S tier is a little too high, but B tier is too low. So I think that, yeah, you know what? I think A should do just fine. I think so. I might need to revisit this a little later on. But for now, I think A should be just fine. ED. I like your witticism. I do like I do like your like a sense of taking things maybe a little too literal. I'm just gonna say this: you're just a sex bot. Like, I don't know. Like, you're fine. Like, you're good, but I don't know if it's someone that I'm like that interested in. Like, I guess like in hindsight, I don't know if it's someone that I'm like fully interested in. Though that might be because I may have screwed up in one of the dialogue options where it kind of locked me out of a romance option. Maybe. I'm not 100% certain though. But to me, it's like Edie is just, she's only all right. She's all right. I don't think she's C tier, but I think she's like on the lower end of B tier. I do use her a lot, though that might be because of like, well, her looks, but nothing more beyond that. Like, so she's likely either a B tier or a C tier. Like, maybe B, but I'll think about it later on. Garrus, on the other hand, this dude's been with us since the beginning, and over time, as the games have progressed, I've grown more fond of Garrus. Like, this dude just has our back, like, no matter what. Like, he is just great overall. I really love Garrus. I really do. But enough to put him on S tier this early? S tier this early? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna put him on S tier because I do think that, like, the more I think about it, I have grown fond of Garrus, especially in the start of 2, where he donned this persona of vigilantism, and that's something that I do quite like. It's something that I do admire about Garrus. Grunt. In terms of design, he's kind of cool, but I don't know if I like him more than Rex. Grunt just feels like a blank slate. Like, he doesn't really come off as unique for the most part. I don't hate him, but I don't think he's that good enough. I guess in comparison to Edie, I don't really feel that much for Grunt. He's not the worst, but he's not that good either. Like, I don't really think so. I am happy for him that he managed to find his place in the world, But it's like, I mean, it's only okay, I guess. Like, he's only fine. What's his name again? Jack? No, Jack is here. Jameson? No. Johnson? Davey. We'll call him Davey. We'll call him Davey. It's bothering me that I don't know his name, bro. Jacob? Was it Jacob? Screw it, we'll call him Jacob. Like, I'm sure it's his name, but that's more or less how I feel about this dude. Seriously, like, I barely remember who he is. Though that might be because I barely play him in Mass Effect 2. But to me, it's that he doesn't really give off that much of a personality. And every time he talks, it's like, I don't even know. Like, I guess like the only thing I do remember about Jacob is just his companion mission, but just finding his father, but nothing else beyond that. That plus the character's father is would eventually voice Lee in the Walking Dead games, but yeah, there's really nothing much of note regarding Jacob. Like, it's just, I struggle to even remember what he talked about and all that. Barely even has a personality aside from Soldier. Yeah, it's this. I think it's this. I only think he edges off of he edged out Ashley only because he doesn't really make me mad. He doesn't make me mad. Ashley does. Although one can make the argument that he could be lower over here because of that non-personality that he has, that he, like, it's just a nothing character. Like, he doesn't make me feel something. He didn't make me feel anything. Whereas with Ashley, she does make me feel something. Hatred, but it's a something and then nothing. But to me, it's this. Like, he feels like an inoffensive character. She's an offensive character. All right, James. Now, if I recall correctly with James, he's supposed to be he exists in one of the animated works of Mass Effect. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I do think that he exists somewhere. Like, he existed before Mass Effect 3. I could be wrong, though. But I do like his personality. It's still that jarhead character, but I do like him a little more compared to Jacob. I can barely remember Jacob. With James, I do remember a little bit. Not a whole lot, but I do like him. But apparently not enough to make it out of grunt territory. I definitely put James as somewhere in C. Yeah, this one feels just right. Javik, though. When I played through Mass Effect 3, I only played through the demo, so I never got to know what characters would be available at that time. When I played through Mass Effect 3 via the Legendary Edition, I did not know. Either I did not know or I completely forgot that Javik was in this game. I think after the fact, it was said to me that Javik is a DLC character, a day one DLC character. But considering that this is the Legendary Edition, I didn't really feel that way. To me, it's just a massive surprise that I managed to see Javik for the first time. Seeing Javik for the first time, knowing that he's one of the last Protheans, it's pretty badass and knowing that. And I do dig his character arc. He's attempting to learn and understand the culture that he's in now compared to thousands of years ago. And I quite dig it. I like him a little more than Grunt, but I don't know if I like him as much as Thane. So yeah, I'm gonna put him like on B tier, right here. I think he's above Edie, only because he's cool. She's just sexy. That's it. Kaidan, you look so weird compared to everyone else here. You don't even look in game, honestly. I chose Kaidan because he is the lesser of the two compared to Ashley. Kaidan he's only okay. He's only okay. I don't necessarily think that he's a bad character, so to speak. But here's the thing, though. In Mass Effect 2, regardless of what you choose, regardless of who you choose, they kind of act the same way. Just feel like that they've been betrayed by the main character, Commander Shepard. So they're kind of both at fault here. But I will admit, though, Kaden is more tolerable to speak to compared to Ashley. So in that regard, I could just put Kaden like above Ashley. I like Kaden a little more than Ashley. Yeah, you know what? I think this will be fine. This is fine. No. This doesn't feel right, actually. No. I'd say rearrange this a little. There we go. This is much better. If I remember correctly, your name is Kasumi. I think so. She's one of the DLC characters, but unlike Javik, Kasumi is not that interesting to me. Now, granted, in the DLC that she does come from, there's a little bit of insight to who she is, but unfortunately, after that, there's not a lot to dissect. For Kasumi, I think she's only C tier. Yeah, she looks cool, but looks alone won't get you to the top, baby. Yeah, here, because at the very least with Kaden, we have 3 games to get to know him about. Legion. Oh man. In terms of looks and given the context of the story, it's awesome that we get to see that we have a Geth as a companion. Like, that is honestly awesome. Given the context of the story regarding Legion, it's pretty cool. I do think it's kind of cool. Now, I do like Legion compared to Edie. That much I know. But I don't know if I like him a little more than Javik. Especially given lore context. I'll give him a high B, but I'll need to think more about it if I want to put him on A or not. So yeah, it's a wait and see kind of thing. Liara. She was introduced in the first game, and she's been with us, not necessarily in the second game. I think like she's there, but not really. When I did play Mass Effect 1 multiple times, I, for some reason, never ended up saving Liara first. I ended up going to the to Novaria first. So I never really got to know Liara first hand. I don't know why, but it ended up being that way. But to be quite honest with you, I'm sure. Here's the thing: Liara has a lot of fans, and I do not doubt that. But I don't know why, but Liara just does not interest me at all. Like, she's fine. And I think that her character improved in Mass Effect 2. Maybe 3, but definitely 2. So, knowing that now she's the Shadow Broker, I do like her a little bit. I do like her a little bit compared to Mass Effect 1. I think that her character has improved since Mass Effect 1. Though, my opinions on her is only... It went from meh to just, hey, you know what, she's alright. She's alright. I don't think she's as good as Edie, but I do think that she's within B tier. I do believe so. Miranda Lawson, where the hell do I put you? I do like the fact that she is genetically modified to be a perfect person, or at least like somewhere around those lines. And knowing that is, I guess one could say a little tragic. Like, one could say that. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. She's just hot. Come on. Like, look, let's just get that out of the way, okay? Being hot does not mean that you're S tier. It does not mean that you're automatically A tier. You gotta have something else in the pot in order for me to enjoy that soup. So hearing her backstory in Mass Effect 2 and then tackling a mission with her in Mass Effect 3, I mean, yeah, I do like her. Although I do think I liked her in Mass Effect 2 than I did in Mass Effect 3. In Mass Effect 3, she's just here and there, and yeah, she's like, yeah, hey, this is Miranda. Here I am. Bye. That's more or less her role in Mass Effect 3, in my opinion. Mass Effect 2, I do have a fondness of her, more so compared to 3. Just a high B right there. Because if I put her in A, I think that'd be a little too much. Dr. Morden. When I first played through Mass Effect 2, I like the fact that he has that William Shatner speech of his. I'm not a Star Trek fan, by the way. Like, I've never actually seen a single episode or movie of Star Trek, but I know who William Shatner is. I know of the references of Star Trek that has been put into media for God knows how long. So when I first heard of Dr. Morden, I immediately thought, William Shatner if he was one of those aliens from Men in Black. I thought that's kind of cool. And the more I progressed through Mass Effect 2, because for some reason he died in Mass Effect 3. I don't know what the hell happened there. Might be a DLC thing. But the more I played through Mass Effect 2, the more that I really love his story. I really love his personality. And I especially love it at one point he starts singing, and that immediately propelled him from B to A. That's how much I really like Dr. Morden. And then I've heard about what happens to him in Mass Effect 3. In fact, I believe after a certain point in Mass Effect 3, I did check out an alternate ending where it does show Dr. Morden sacrificing himself. And yeah, that felt more impactful compared to the other Solarian that does replace Dr. Morden. I'll put him in S tier because I really love his character arc. I really do. And the fact that it ends the way it did, hey, rest in peace to a real one. Who the hell is she? I think she's one of the daughters of Samara. I do believe so. I do believe that she is one of the daughters of Samara. I'm not gonna lie to you, I never even had the opportunity to play with her. So I can only go off of what I could remember in Mass Effect 2. So knowing what I know regarding her personality in Mass Effect 2, I think she's cool. Maybe a little too edgy for my taste, but from the bit that I do remember, you know what? Yeah, I like her. I'll put her in C though. I'll put her in C, like a pretty high C. I don't know if she gets better or worse after her encounter or after like we don't kill her, but I imagine she'd be pretty cool in a Shadow the Hedgehog kind of cool way. Now, speaking of Samara, I don't know if it's because of her personality in Mass Effect 2 and even 3 for that matter. She's only just fine. I do like her sense of justice, but that's more or less all there is to it, really. And it is kind of screwed up about what happened with her daughters in the game, both in the second and third. Now that I'm thinking about it, I get why she doesn't show that much emotion. I get why, but I don't know if it's the right decision. Again, though, she got the body, but that don't mean much. Oh, Jack. When she first appeared in Mass Effect 2, I don't know if I necessarily like her. I have an interest. Not necessarily to the point of liking Jack, but I do have a bit of an interest. In Mass Effect 3, they changed up her look, and it's like, okay, I can kind of see why they changed it, but I don't know if I agree with it. But with that said, she's cool. And then there's the bit about her background. I mean, she just reminds me of an X-Men, really. That's what she reminds me of. Look at her straight in the eyes and then straight to me and say to me she does not remind you of an X-Men character. If anything, she almost reminds me of X-23 for that matter. In terms of power, and well, only in terms of personality, I'd probably say. Granted, I think Jack is a little more foul-mouthed compared to X-23, but that's what I almost dig about her. So in that regard, I'd say on the lower end of B. Oh, Talizora. We're at that part? No, we're not. I'm gonna save her for last. Rex, on the other hand, we only met him in 1, and then 2, and then 3, but he's only a companion, a real companion in Mass Effect 1. And in the time that we have interacted with Rex, initially, I thought he is one of the coolest characters in the series. But you know, as we get more characters here and there, like Thane, and then we have more of a character arc with Garrus and Dr. Morden. I guess like in comparison, he's not that cool. Still a very good character, mind you, in terms of personality, because I really do love the personality that Rex gives off. Visually and audibly, he's honestly a cool character. But I will put him like on the lower end of A. Yeah, I'm gonna put him on the lower end of A because I do think that he's like better compared to all these other characters. Like I have an affinity towards Rex than I do with all of these characters, maybe with the exception of Miranda and maybe a Jack, but nothing else beyond that. Zaid. This man, I don't know what's up with him. To me, Zaid is a character that just exists. Kind of like Kasumi, like in that regard. But I'd argue that I like Kasumi a little more compared to Zaid, because at least with Kasumi, it's a unique-ish personality. I guess in terms of DLC characters, I very much prefer Javik. I like Kasumi a little more. Like the more I'm thinking about it, I should probably put her like up here instead of down here. Like the more I think about it, I should probably put her up there. Actually, you know what? Right here should be fine. Whereas with Zaid, it's revenge. Like his only shtick is revenge. And much like Kasumi, Zaid is just there for Mass Effect 2, but nothing else beyond that. I'm debating if I should put him on D or not, because he's the reason why Dr. Morden died. In my personal experience, at least. It's a little screwed up, but hey, just remember now, it's my list. And as such, Tali Zora. That's going to be the list. I gotta say, though, I am very proud of what I've created here. I do think that this is a fantastic list all around. Nothing else needs to be done. I will say, though, from the best to the worst in terms of characters in Mass Effect, I think that without them, the games themselves would probably be just all right. The characters themselves, even for someone like Ashley or Jacob, I think without them, it wouldn't be that memorable. Like the other characters over here wouldn't be that memorable. All right, fine. I'll talk about Tali Zora. All right, I'll talk about her. I stated in a Trilogy video that doesn't exist anymore. I stated that I wanted to play Mass Effect 1 because of how lauded the Trilogy was. I guess you could say like I made it as far as I did because of not the gameplay, because the gameplay itself for Mass Effect 1 on 360, it was not good. I didn't like it. But to me, there are two things that Mass Effect carried for me, or at least had me play through Mass Effect 1 as much as I did. One is the story, and I do like how the story is structured in Mass Effect 1, or at least the introduction of said stories, not just the main story, but also the side stories like the Geth War and the Genophage. And the other one are the characters. The characters to me in the Mass Effect 1, from the best to the worst, they've always been pretty great. Even for someone like Ashley and Jacob, yeah, they're bad characters, but to be quite honest, without them, they probably wouldn't be as interesting compared to the other. It probably wouldn't make the world as interesting, you know? So I'd say even with my lower ranking, I still keep them in. I don't think any of these characters would ever hold a candle compared to Tali, in my opinion. And that's only because of her personality, in terms of her looks, in terms of her overarching story from Mass Effect 1 all the way to 3. And I do love that about Tali. I really do love Tali in terms of looks and story, especially Mass Effect 2. I think Mass Effect 2 is where she finally started to become her own character, more so compared to the first one. Yeah, there's just something about Tali that I ended up loving a whole lot compared to a lot of these other characters. I say that Garrus and Dr. Morden are very close, considering the way that I rank them, but Tali Zora definitely tops it for me in terms of like the character ranking. And as such, yeah, that's gonna about do it for the tier list. If you don't agree, well, sorry, but that's just how I feel about all of these characters. Frankly speaking, building this tier list for the characters of Mass Effect, except for Jacob and Ashley, I began remembering about all of the adventures and misadventures that I had with all of these characters, all their personalities, all their stories. I won't lie, it almost makes me want to replay Mass Effect again. It really does make me want to do this again, because I really did enjoy the trilogy as a whole. Yes, even the cumbersome gameplay of Mass Effect 1 and the ending of Mass Effect 3, I do enjoy a lot of it. I really do. Even despite all of that, I really do. I just think it's a fantastic series. Like just looking at all of this, I'm starting to remember everything. I'm starting to remember my gameplay and my playthrough of the entire trilogy, and it does make me want to replay the trilogy all over again. Granted, not on stream, but maybe like I'm in my off time. But that's how I feel about the Mass Effect Trilogy characters. This is more or less how I feel. What do you think about all of this? What's your top pick? What's your bottom pick? Leave a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more tier lists like these, let me know down below as well. Leave a like, leave a comment, and consider subscribing for more videos like this. And until then, take care.